All right. Well, I was hoping to get this done a day earlier, but what can you do? So, as usual, I'm going to try to do this in one take. For the most part, it's been fairly easy, but um Merry Christmas. Yeah. Well, it's a little bit past Christmas. It's currently the well, 5:24 a.m. at or 5:24 a.m. on the 27th of December. I was actually hoping to get this done some hours ago, but passed out and then woke up. So, and as much as I would have loved to have done this on Christmas day night, I had visited some family, and after I got back, I was actually very fortunate enough to hang out with a current interest of mine. So, it's poetic how I say current interests, considering how with my last entry, you know, I talked very much about previous interests from previous years and how that always went south. But you can never control who you gain or develop feelings for. So, but the nice thing is, I was able to spend some time with them, chat with them, and just hang out with them in general, and that was enough to make me happy. So, but for anyone who does come across this, I hope you enjoyed the world setting. Even though it's not shown, actually, I might be able to. Yeah, there we go. Little Christmas tree with some presents underneath. So it felt very fitting for this log. I'm just gonna try to recenter it as best I can. Me being an OCD bastard who's never quote unquote satisfied, I can just be satisfied, I think, with the middle. So, but very cozy world. There's actually a tiny video screen right over there where I'm pointing that has a roaring fire, a bed over to my right, your left, you know, viewing experience. And then behind me, obviously, you got the moon, and then an entire village behind you with snow, and then to top it all off, the Aurora Borealis. So it's a very nice, quaint, cozy little world. I don't actually even know if quaint is a good word to use here, considering the fact that I forgot what that word meant, if it even meant anything, but we're rolling with it. But yeah, just to reiterate it again, for those of you who have seen this, when you have seen this, I wish you or I hope you had, I should say, a very Merry Christmas. My current tradition is Christmas Day, we go over to family's house. While on Thanksgiving, we typically have people come over. For Christmas, it's the opposite. So we open up some presents here at the house, and then we go to our cousins and open up some presents there. And it was nice, to say the least. Myself personally, I got a lot of Xbox merch, which I can't say I'm just too disappointed with. Um, but yeah, no, for me, honestly, the best gift of all was just being able to hang out with interest. So, and just for a disclosure, do I ever think that this person and I could ever get together? Oh, hell no. The way I currently see it, my brain currently sees every interest that it has as just a temporary chase, for a lack of a better way of putting it. Being as someone with ADHD, I always tend to hyper obsess, hyper focus, and chase that which is the current hot topic on the brain. I've gotten better with it though, which is nice. And to reiterate something which I told someone yesterday, feeling obsessed about something is not the worst thing. Acting on said obsession is. And knowing how to recognize, acknowledge, and know when to step back is definitely a regulation method or tactic that is greatly needed, especially, at least in my opinion, if you have ADHD. So, but yeah, no, it was nice. She and I hung out. So, I got well, the way I personally see it is that I got my last Christmas gift of the day. So, and I can't complain about that. I had a newer individual who sent me pics of their grill with their food, I guess is the best way of putting it. I was going to say meat, but then I kind of realized that probably may not be the best thing to say. Yeah, it was like some kind of steak or something that they sent me pictures of, like them grilling steak. Apparently, they're away at a family event for the few days. So, I'm not going to lie though. During the last hour or so that I've been up, I've had trauma start flaring up again. And it's funny. The same person who I have an interest in, by the same token, they scare the living shit out of me. They once told me that they had a nasty, or not nasty, but a toxic habit of cutting off people at random. It didn't matter if you were the nicest individual on the face of the planet or the worst. If they felt like cutting you off, they would cut you off. Now you might be saying, well, if that's a nasty habit or a toxic trait, why continue hanging out with that person? Answer: because for now, we currently have a deal with each other. And I'm also expecting them at some point to leave. Even if they insist that's never going to happen, I am currently running with worst case scenario since that's just kind of what this game has told me to do. So, and with an individual who I actually met through them, he's someone who's quite a few years older than me, but as much as I too acknowledge and admit it. I do feel a bit of jealousy towards him. And the reason being is that I want to say he also has an interest in the same person that I have an interest in. Which is okay. I just... It's okay. But I get flashbacks right now from 2023 where me and another dude had a interest in the same person. And unfortunately, our friendship didn't last. And for disclosure, yes, I did get nasty with him a bit in the beginning about it. And the reason for that, and not excusable, but the reason for that is I never had to deal with the feeling of jealousy before. Well, specifically, I never had to deal with jealousy when it came to a close friend. It was a new emotional hurdle to navigate. And I struggled very deeply with that. And unfortunately, because of that, it heavily strained our friendship. Now, don't get me wrong, he definitely had issues on his end too. But the most poetic thing I found about our friendship the day it ended was that I had told myself, because of jealousy, because of some girl who I had a crush on, I was allowing emotions to derail a friendship. And so when I saw the both of them on, the one thing I told myself that I would do was fuck the crush, fuck the emotions. I just wanted to hang out with people who I cared about. Because that was the most important thing. Emotions are fleeting. Love is a choice. Hating is a choice. I mean, yeah, you can feel hatred and love for someone in the moment. But emotions come and go. But how you act towards somebody is a choice, whether influenced by emotion or not. So, bearing the emotions I had for my crush, for the sake of the friendship, I joined on them for the sole purpose of just wanting to enjoy their presence, the both of them. And unfortunately, though, as time went on during the night, they found out that I was going on a trip. And I had said that for the sake of the trip, and because of the fact that I just wanted to relax and be me, I would not be taking medication that I had been taking during the time. And for context, the medication was supposed to help me focus, but I didn't feel like it really helped do that anymore. But he had told me to take my medicine with me on vacation. I said no. I'm not going to do that. It is my vacation. I just want to be me. He got pissed off, said, fine, then don't get better, and then an hour later proceeded to unfriend and block me. And I have to say, I consider it a shame that my mind is now comparing this new dude who I just met, who genuinely is chill, as far as I know at least. I find it very depressing that's comparing him to this guy who I used to know. And, a thing I always tell people is that it is okay to feel that which you do. What isn't okay, though, is to allow how you feel to directly influence your decision-making process. Like, as much as I want to distrust this dude, right? This new guy who I recently became acquainted with. As much as I want to distrust him, as much as I want to, feel like he's out to get me, I cannot allow myself to act out on said thoughts because he's not the same individual. I can take a step back and not invest as much time into him since, well, I barely know the person. We don't have a history together. So I can easily do that and, take time for myself to cool down and relax, which, that's what I'm going to be doing. Distracting myself, enjoying, Christmas gifts. And I will take whatever precaution is needed to help save this friendship. Well, okay, let me rephrase. Not to help save this friendship, but I will take whatever precaution is necessary to stop myself from poisoning what fear I feel like this friendship could become or turn into a bit later down the line. Because, again, different individual. And, the thing with emotion is that it can sometimes be like a hunch, where you have a hunch that someone's this way or they're going to do that. But without concrete proof, you can't do anything. And dumb as it may sound, and yes, this is because of emotion, the way I currently see this individual, since he's currently reminding me of a past individual in terms of just feeling wise, I currently see this individual as a second chance to do or to make right what I failed to do when it came to the individual from a couple years ago. Since my biggest regret back then was not standing up for myself as much as I should have. Because the individual from 2023 who I felt jealous of or with or whatever, he was a bully. And my interest from 2023, who I've spoken about before, she had even acknowledged that. He had taken pictures with her saying that he wanted to send them over towards me for the sole purpose of pissing me off, which is toxic. He wanted to drag her off to the side to have her all to himself, away from friends, which is toxic. He put me down in my own Discord server, which is toxic. And I never put my foot down because I was worried about biting and fighting back. And I was worried that fighting back would cause me to lose a friend. And a thing that I had yet to learn from 2 years ago, nearly 3, is that you are allowed to have boundaries. You are allowed to set boundaries with people. While it is not wrong to be compassionate and be merciful with individuals, you also need to be strong enough to defend your compassion. Because at the end of the day, people who are your genuine friends, when they wrong you, they will acknowledge that and they will apologize. People who are your genuine friends, they will work with you to solve an issue. They might want to slap you a few times along the way, but they will work with you because they care about you. And I know I already said it before, but if in the event that this does turn out to be a slight repeat of the past, I'm going to be ready for it this time. Or at least, I hope I'll be ready for it this time. Because I just do not want to deal with another bully. And as the old saying goes, if you want to walk away because of the fact that I'm setting boundaries and protecting my mental health above your ego, then so be it. Because at the end of the day, the only one who truly cares about yourself will be yourself. People come and go from your life all the time. Friends and individuals are transitionary in life. Keep the ones who put in effort and show up. Let go and do not put effort into individuals who don't reciprocate energy or effort back. That was a lesson which I have had to heavily learn this year. And I'm 31. I'm still learning. Whether because of some setback from school years or childhood or anything like that, I am always learning, and there is nothing wrong with that. I am a student of life, and I feel that I always will be. But yeah, that was kind of a bit of the main topic for today. I tried requesting off of my 2025 crush a tad bit earlier, but she was busy. A part of me deep inside wants to say that she wants to currently avoid me. Do I currently have evidence or logical reason to suspect that? No. I just say it out of fear or I currently think that out of fear since I'm just afraid of getting hurt again. And as I said, you know, how you direct your emotions is the most important thing to do. Or I should say, is just the most important thing. I used to think that doing nothing was the safest and the most logical bet. And to a certain degree, I would say that's true. However, if other people start abusing you, you need to learn how to fight back. You need to learn how to stand up for yourself. And that is something which has been one of my biggest journeys thus far. And personally, I'm kind of proud of where I've come with that. I think it's been a good year. Because I always used to let people in the past walk all over me. I wanted to prove that I was that one guy, that one individual who could always be forgiving. The problem with that notion, though, is that unless someone shares similar values to you, they will take advantage. And that's just the unfortunate truth. And that's not cynicism, that's just realism. It's the way the world works. There are good people out in the world. You just have to sift through all the garbage to find them. You know, it's funny. I still can't get an invite from the two individuals from my interest of this year, nor from the newly acquainted guy who I met not too long ago. In my head, I want to say that they're hanging out and just quote unquote enjoying each other's time, which maybe they are. Maybe that is what they're doing. And even if that's the case, you know, I should not care. To quote a friend of mine from a couple of years ago, I cannot expect relationship treatment from an individual who I'm not with. I can desire such treatment. I can desire for them to seek me out more. But unless we're actually a thing, I cannot hold any expectations from them. And honestly, one thing I'm glad I learned this year, just don't have any expectations from anybody unless they've proven themselves to you. And yeah, there's nothing wrong with having someone prove themselves to you to a reasonable certain extent. No one's entitled to your trust. No one's entitled to your faith. No one's entitled to any of your patience. There's nothing wrong with having people earn a little bit of that. Because, at least in my opinion, when people have to work and fight for something, it makes it much harder for them to let it go. Especially if they have to put in time and energy and effort into it. because then they're basically, well, it's like building a house. Are you really going to spend a year building something, decorating it, making it, sturdy, clean, durable, just to then burn it all down? People who care, they'll be more than happy to take on the project. They'll be more than happy to appreciate and live in what they've built. And it's funny because, my interest from this year, she has already said that she considers me one of her closest friends from much, much earlier. To which I was like, dope. No offense, but I don't currently feel the same way. And it wasn't said as an insult as much as it was, I'm sorry, you just haven't earned my trust yet. I would like to trust you. I enjoy hanging out with you. But I haven't seen you stick around long enough to be given that trust. Now, to be fair, there are other individuals who have earned that before she has much quicker. But the only reason for that was because I gave it away a lot sooner than I should have. And that was a learning lesson for me. So, I will try one more time to request off of this dude. I doubt it, but then again, who knows? Maybe they are doing the dishmoikity. But even if they are, they're adults. It's funny. Whenever I say things like that to the camera, where it's like, oh, hey, maybe they are doing this. Psychologically, I think I'm just kind of reminding myself that, yeah, this could be a possibility. But even if it is, it's something that you need to just accept. Which, maybe it is why I'm doing that. Telling you that. Because in telling you that, I'm just projecting and reminding myself. Since, that is kind of what these entries are. It's just me being open and honest with my thoughts about the stuff. Which, all things considered, I do think I'm being respectful about it every which way. So, I don't know how long these two friendships will last, but it's not going to be a repeat of 2023. I can tell you that much. And the reason it's not going to be is because I'm going to make sure to fight for, well, if it is even a slight repeat of history, I'm going to make sure to act differently this time. Go into it with a different mentality. Because at the end of the day, no person is worth my peace. And after having to tell a close friend of mine that a buddy of ours passed away at the very start of this year, after ending a relationship that I had for a month after having yearned for one for the last 10 years. To a certain degree, I almost feel like I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Because I feel like I just did the two hardest things I could have ever done currently in my life. I walked away from a server earlier this year. From someone who claimed to be a friend who did a good job of acting like it. But again, keyword acting. They said words. Their actions did not back up their words. So. And to show how displeased I was, and to send a message of, I'm done with the lies until you actually show me that you mean what you say, I had left the server. And their retaliation was just unfriending me on VRChat, changing their name on VRChat, and now I just found out that they removed me a day or two after Christmas. Now, has that ruined my Christmas? Oh, fuck no. If anything, it's just more of, oh, well, the trash finally completely took itself out. Dope. So I can't complain really too much on that front. It's been an interesting year, to say the least. It's the first year in which I actually took a break from VRChat. Especially after my ex. There were two individuals, one who I wanted to be friends with, the other who I wanted to get to know better. The one who I wanted to get to know better, she's now dating a dude. She never replies to anything I ever send her, even if I'm just trying to be a friend and check in, she never replies. So she's making it very hard to want to check up on her, as much as her statuses may say, oh, I'm so lonely. It's like, okay, cool. You know what? I tried reaching out. It's not that you're lonely. It's not that you want people to care about you. You just want specific people to care about you. And I'm not afraid to call that out. Well, I'm not going to currently say it to their face just because there's no point. So, dumb as I may sound. I mean, it's true. It's easier to say things in private than it is to the person's face. But by the same token, I haven't spoken with said person in God knows how long, so, And again, they were a very playful person with a fun personality, which I did enjoy. However, at the end of the day, good friends aren't people with interesting personalities. They're not people who you play games with. They're not people who you work out at the gym with. They're not your coworkers, and they're not people who you talk to at school. Good friends are people who hold values similar to you. They are people who will stick with you thick and thin. And I guess just to bring it up, just because of the fact that I do have to end this video at some point, Ferality just released their Ferality Somno World, so I'm happy. Because I genuinely loved Ferality Somno. It was a very nice theme, and it's a very nice world that I can sleep in if I so choose. So, I'll probably make a New Year's video at some point, but I think I pretty much got done everything that, or said everything that needed to be said or that I wanted to say this video. You know, I'll admit, this entry, it was a tad bit depressing. It was. But I'm also being real with shit. And that's the point of these, as I said earlier. You know, I mentioned bad stuff, I mentioned good stuff. It was a nice kind of mix of both. Self-reflection there as well, which is always good. Which I think in general a lot of people need to do, dear God. But yeah. I could continue rambling on, but this is already a 40-minute entry, so I think I will cut it off here. And for anyone who has come across this video, for anyone who has stuck around this long, well, even though it's probably late when you're seeing this, or for all I know, it could be summer. In the spirit of everything that is the season, I wish and hope that you have and have had a very merry and wonderful Christmas. And that time spent with family was a good one. To end off this entry, a quote from one of my now previous past favorite TV shows, Doctor Who. The reason we spend time with family on the holidays, especially Christmas, is because every Christmas is last Christmas. And Christmas is, typically speaking, the last time of the year where people get together to celebrate and spend time with family. Because one could say New Year's, but New Year's Day is at the start of the year. So every Christmas is the last Christmas that you get to spend with family. And always cherish those moments, because you only get so many. And believe me when I say, there is definitely going to be a time one day where I look back and wish that I had more time and more Christmases to spend with family. Because the older we get, the less time we have with others. So, realize that the younger you can, so that you can have more memories. And with that, Merry Christmas to all, and to all, a very good night.